Hey now, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I hope everybody's having a great time. Listen, this could be a very timely video because it is Halloween night as we film this thing.
That was perfect.
Right? But at the same time, it's also kind of not so timely because very few people are going to watch this tonight.
And trick-or-treating is over where we are, so.
Yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, who cares? We're ranking the Halloween movies. Now, there's a little caveat to this. It's not as simple as it sounds. We are only ranking the Halloween movies that have...
Michael Myers.
Right. We don't care about Halloween 3 because it has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
Of all the different timelines that the Halloween series has spun, and it's been so many timelines, they've rebooted more than any other franchise ever. But still, we're not going to look at that one timeline that just doesn't have Michael Myers. That's just pointless. So Halloween 3 is not part of this, but let's go ahead and dive in. We've got 9 movies in a deal. Does it sound like fun?
It does.
All right. We got 9 movies to deal with. We're going to eliminate 8 and 9 right off the bat, okay? There's 2.
Zip gone.
Yeah, just let's talk about them quickly and then move on because they really don't deserve a whole lot of time. It's the
Tell
2.
us how you really feel about these things.
Well, it's the 2 Rob Zombie movies. All right? And I'm not just speaking for myself. No one likes them. The Rob Zombie movies, they tried to make that kind of artistic statement about the white unicorn. All anybody remembered was the white trash. It was everybody in the movie had just such trash. Everybody lived in a trailer park. Even Laurie was unlikable.
Really?
It was just, it was all, you didn't see these movies, huh?
I
The
did
Rob
not
Zombie
see
ones.
these.
I'm telling you, Rob, there were a couple of our ideas here and there, I guess, but overall, people did not like those 2 movies, so we're going to just kind of gloss over them and just point out that, they were the bottom 2 on the list of all the Michael Myers movies. Does that sound fair?
Well, now I'm going to have to run out and get them.
Why would you do that knowing... Let's move on. Number 7, all right?
Yep.
Now we're out of the Rob Zombie stuff. Resurrection. Number 7, the last one, the worst ranked of the non-Rob Zombie Halloween movies with Michael Myers is Resurrection. I think almost everybody will agree with me. What do you think, Voice of Reason?
So this is still kind of like last place.
Yes. In many ways, that's what I'm getting at. This is essentially still last place.
Okay.
Okay? The beginning, I actually think is awesome. I really do. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to get some hateful comments.
Yeah.
But I think the beginning is actually awesome. We see the death of Laurie Strode. The second time in the franchise that happens, the first time was off camera. But that first 15 or 20 minutes, when Michael finally gets her, when he gets into that sanitarium and he gets her and he finally kills her and throws her off the thing, I thought that was awesome. What do you think?
I really like that part of the movie.
What happens after that? It's all downhill after that.
It's downhill after that.
Yeah, things just get worse and worse with that whole dangertainment and then the martial arts.
Yeah.
And that was the weirdest ever. Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
They kind of tried to frame him as maybe the new Dr. Loomis in a way. Not that he was a psychiatrist, but that he'd be the new one to really follow Michael and try to stop him.
Yeah.
And that really didn't work out well. He ended up, remember when he karate chopped Michael and he did a weird spin kick or something? And
Yes.
anyway, really bad. No fans liked it at all. So even though it had that great first 15 minutes, once Jamie Lee's gone,
they kind of could have just made it a short.
it should have been, honestly, that should have been it. It should have been a little 15, 20-minute thing, and that should have been the end of it. Because after that, it just more and more and more, I think we all just watched the rest of it, and our hearts were sinking that, you know what, this franchise is over. All right, so let's move on from number 7. Let's go to number 6. 6, The Curse of Mr. Myers.
Mr. like his dad?
No, Michael's a Mister.
Oh, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, what? This is the curse of Mr. Michael Myers, and it makes you feel better. So, this was number 666. The movie was originally called Halloween 666, and then they went through a bunch of different names, the origin of Michael Myers. In the end, they ended up just calling it The Curse of Mr. Michael Myers in the end. That was the final name.
Were they really going to use the 666?
Yeah, they were. There was marketing with it. That's how far it went. They're actually, the very, very, very early marketing had that. But anyway, this is not Michael Myers trivia. let's talk about the movie. Oh my God. Okay, most of us know, the real fans know, there are two versions of this movie. The producer's cut's way better. Makes so much more sense, and it actually has an ending. The theatrical release is just bizarre. I mean, it's really cut up and edited, and it's not even trying. I mean, I remember I saw that one actually in a theater. That was the first one I actually got to see in a theater. And it's a disaster. The ending, nobody knew what to do. We all just kind of got up in the theater and shrugged and looked at each other and said, all right, I don't know what the fuck happened. It's very odd. There's no ending. The plot's really all over the place. And it's amazing to me how much of Loomis they cut because they thought he was too boring. Imagine that. Fucking the one really good actor they've ever had in the whole series, and they cut Donald Pleasance out and thought he was too boring. So he's in the movie, but very weird little bits. It's really hard to follow what's happening in that film. All right, moving on from number 6. The 5th one on my list, and in many ways I wanted to put this one higher. It is...
Revenge of Dr. Myers.
Yes, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Dr. Myers.
I'm on to you now.
You're figuring shit out. Listen, this movie is so... I got a real love-hate with this movie. It's so badly done that they didn't even put the subtitle on screen at the beginning of the film. Can you imagine?
I remember that.
Right, it just says Halloween 5, and it doesn't even say Revenge of Myers. That's real. That's how poorly done and rushed this movie was. Everybody knows the story. It came out less than a year after Halloween 4. Can you imagine that? Halloween 4 is a big success. They rushed it so much, they got it out in less than a year, and it shows. This movie has so many problems and weird cuts. Remember how in the other movies, there's always like anticipation, and Michael kind of like before he does a kill, he sort of looms outside, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and you'll see him through the window and all that. In this movie, he's just there. There he is. Every single time, there's absolutely no... what's the word? There's no foreplay for Michael. Let's put it that way. There's no foreplay. He just pulls down his pants and gets right in. It's ridiculous. And there's so many just embarrassing moments in that movie that you got to wonder what in the hell they were doing. But it's a guilty pleasure of mine, I'm going to admit. It is a guilty pleasure because as bad as the movie is, it's just so poorly put together. It is very interesting in some of the creative choices they made.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This one, if I'm remembering correctly, this one actually might be my least favorite, but...
Probably.
Yeah. But it's hard for me to keep them all straight because there's too many timelines and too many things to keep track of. But
that's not a good sign either. Well, some of the big twists in this one I thought were noteworthy. Whether you like them or hate them, most people hate them. Tina was what they did. They killed Rachel off early, right? Rachel was the last girl from part 4, which we'll talk about soon. And they wiped her out right off the bat. The first kill of the movie, just she's gone immediately. Well, one of the first ones. And it wasn't even done well. You know, she got stabbed like in the shoulder or something crazy like that. Remember how weird that was?
Yes.
And no one sees it coming. And then the dumbest thing, this is probably the worst aspect of the movie, is after she gets killed at the very beginning, no one notices the whole entire rest of the film. No one even mentions her. No one says, hey, where the hell's Rachel? She was supposed to be at that party. She was
right.
Nothing. She's completely gone. Trick-or-treating, everything. Just completely gone. Her family, nobody cares. Nobody thinks twice about the fact that Rachel's completely gone. So they made Tina the best friend who was not even in 4, but they're super close to her, but she wasn't in the 4th movie. They tried to make her the main, like she was going to be the new last girl. I thought she had a great death scene, though. A really great death scene trying to save Jamie. So anyway, this movie had a lot of problems. Michael had that tear in his eye. Remember that?
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
It took me out of it.
It did. I think for almost everybody.
It didn't fit for me.
It didn't fit for anybody. It was very strange. But again, I don't know. To me, there's reasons why I think this movie, it made bold-ass choices. It wasn't just another kind of traditional movie. They took risks. I think maybe they were a little too bold.
Too bold.
Yeah, and by the way, this was the second time we saw Dr. Loomis die, and then somehow he's okay. Loomis survives as much shit as Michael does, frankly.
Yeah. So
anyway, that's our view on part 5, which comes in at number 5, Revenge of Dr. Myers. Number 4, coming in at number 4 is Water.
Water.
Halloween H2O. Listen, there's a lot of things about this movie that are terrible. the fact that it got number 4 on my list kind of surprises me, honestly.
Really?
In a lot of ways, yeah, I feel like, what's it doing this high? I feel like it should be a little lower, but it's very, very, very 1990s.
Sounds like there's a lot of competition for the low end of your scale, though.
There is. That's the problem. There are more bad Halloween movies than good ones. Honestly, there really are. There's more bad than good. Even though I love this franchise, there's way more disappointment than celebration in this franchise.
Yeah.
But anyway, when they put out H2O, Loomis, or Donald Pleasance, had died in real life. So that kind of made it where they couldn't really continue that storyline, and frankly, nobody was buying anyway. That storyline was going to hell. So they didn't know what else to do. And when they were able to get Jamie Lee Curtis to come back, that's when they had to reboot and just say, all right, just fuck this timeline. Let's get her back in and change things around a little bit. But they really needed a better name. They wanted to call it Halloween 20 years later. And then, of course, that they really got hung up on the whole 20 years later vibe, and they just called it Halloween H2O, which was such a sign of that time. You know, that time period, everybody was abbreviating things in a cutesy way.
Right.
And, I mean, H2O is just such a dumb name for it. So, anyway, whatever. That's, I thought the movie was really short, very quick and to the point. Not terribly suspenseful, not terribly dark. It was more of an action movie to me. You know what I mean? Didn't feel a little more like an action than a suspense or a horror.
Yeah, I thought so.
Not a lot of kills in the movie either. Really, not many. I think 5 or 6 or something like that. I think 6. Yeah, it's very, very short. Anyway,
he was lazy in the kill department.
He was, and this featured Michael's biggest drive yet, because didn't he drive all the way, right? Because normally he stays in Ohio when he drives,
right?
But somehow, with the mask on and a stolen vehicle, he drove 2 stolen vehicles. Remember, he did stop and switch vehicles, but he drove all the way to California.
You're right.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. Right, so something occurred to me here. Halloween 2018, I forgot to make a slide for. So I really screwed up very badly here. But that is the one that I was going to say is slightly above this. So I screwed up. What are you going to do? Let's talk. You want to talk about Halloween 2018?
2018, sure.
Okay. This is very interesting to me because, again, they wiped out the whole timeline. The sequel to Halloween is Halloween. That's weird, right? So it's just called Halloween, but it's Halloween 2018. It was supposed to be the launch of a new trilogy, but how do you launch a new trilogy with a sequel? That doesn't make any sense, does it?
Right. And there can't be any other time in history that a sequel has had the same name as the original.
No, in a million years. Why would you do that? Like, if the new RoboCop is called RoboCop, I would think that's really silly, right? It's dumb.
Yeah.
They didn't call Empire Strikes Back Star Wars. You know why?
Why?
Because they already had a fucking Star Wars movie. That's why. You couldn't call it Star Wars again. So anyway, the true number 3 on my list, even though we didn't make the slide, the true number 3 that I think is better than Water is Halloween from 2018. I think it's that good, honestly.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that one in the theater.
It's honestly really hard to compare because that's such a new movie. As of now, it's barely been out a year. So how do you compare it against movies that have been around for 20, 30 something years? You know, when was the first one? 40 years ago?
Yep.
So it's really hard to compare because you've got that classic sense of the older ones. You've watched them. Maybe you've overwatched them. Anyway, I'm going to say the Halloween from 2018. Jamie Lee Curtis came back. There's a lot about that movie I didn't like. A lot of really boring, empty characters, but it was cohesive. You still had a couple of plot twists. I thought that whole thing with Dr. Sartain, I thought was cool. Most people didn't like that. So for me, it is a little bit better. It's just a more cohesive film, and I'm going to give it the number 3 spot. Sound good?
Sounds good.
If that sounds reasonable, let's move on to our true number 2, which, of course, I have here as number 3. But okay, we're beyond that. That's all right. That's all right.
2 and 2, like Chuck Woolery.
Yeah, once again, Halloween 2, not the Rob Zombie Halloween 2. We already trashed that one earlier. Right. Halloween 2 from 1980 or whatever it was, or 81, or whatever that was. I still don't even think this is a great movie. That's how many not so great movies are in this franchise. But honestly, there's a really creepy factor to it, especially the fact that it picks up right that same night, you know?
Yeah.
The fact that it just continues right off where the first one left. I thought that was cool. I did get a real good sense, too, from the actors that, like, their characters were in such peril. and there was such chaos. Didn't you get that feeling?
Yep.
You know, like they went and they saw Annie's body, so they kept some real continuity
Yeah.
there. There were certain things from that night that happened in the first film that you needed to follow up in the second film. You couldn't
It
just
tied
skip
up
them.
a few things that were left dangling from the first one.
Right?
Yeah.
We even got Ben Trainer.
Yes.
So that was cool. So to bring that kind of full circle. So I thought they did a really good job there in that way. Having a lot of it take place in the hospital, I didn't really care for, right? That was a little...
Yeah. It got dull
Didn't it?
that way because it was all dark, empty hallways. It was like she was the only one in the hospital.
It's not
Except
relatable.
Her and the babies.
Yeah, right. It was just, she was like one of the only people there. There were definitely some things about that movie I can see why people didn't really get into, and it was seen as a bit of a disappointment back then. But at the same time, it is well done. It is a well-crafted movie, great acting, and it was cool. They kept the intensity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They really kept the intensity, so I'm going
Right.
to give it that. All right, at the very top of this list, the very top, I'm giving you both. Halloween, the original, and Halloween 4.
It's a twofer.
For me, it is. Listen, everybody who's ever done a review on the Halloween series says the first one is the best one. I think Halloween 4 edges it out just a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, it's really tough to say. They were 10 years apart. But I look at it this way. If you just had those two movies, if you saw them at the same night, right? If you had never seen anything else before and you watched them both in the same night, I think the original is a little bit bested by Halloween 4.
Really?
Yeah, Halloween 4 is exciting. There's that scene where there are 4 Michaels and they're surrounding the car. That's fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
yeah.
that? When
Yeah.
it turns out it's just kids. But they added, something about these movies adds a real element of chaos where I loved in Halloween 4 when that posse got put together, those drunken dudes from the
Yes.
bar got a posse together, and then there's that great scene from Loomis where the police tell Loomis, like, Loomis had kind of egged those guys on, and the cop says something to Loomis, like, look what you just did, you created a lynch mob. And Loomis has this great line, you ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to do some Donald Pleasance. He goes, these men may be the only hope you've got.
That was good.
And he was so right, because I worked on that for a long time. It was so cool to see a lynch mob happening, and then you've got these scared to death kids, then you got the cop who puts everybody in the house, the sheriff. After all, by the way, all the other cops Michael killed, that part doesn't make sense to me. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It was off camera, but Michael went in and just destroyed all the cops in the station.
Yes.
What's that about?
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like we should have at least seen that if that was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I think Halloween 4 is awesome. I love Halloween 4. I think the first film is just about as good, but I'm going to give it to Halloween 4 for a little bit more creativity. What do you think?
Well, it's hard for me to keep them all straight, but yes, I think Halloween 4. I would agree with your assessment.
Is it even harder for you to keep it straight now that I have twisted this list and forgotten a movie and gotten it all fucked up? Is that probably didn't help, right?
No, I'm pretty beyond that. It's fine.
All right, anyway, guys, that's our Halloween list. Tell me what you think in the comments. There's a lot of different timelines here and different ideas explored. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Let me know who you prefer, Jamie or Laurie Strode, as like the main character who went on for multiple films.
Yeah.
And of course, if you liked this video, if you happen to like this video despite all its flaws, please go ahead and give me a like. I could use it. If you thought this video sucked, hit the "This Sucks" button. And of course, if you want to subscribe to the channel, please do so. I'm going to have a lot of new content coming for you guys soon. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween!
We'll see you next time.